In a town called Lumina, there were no men. There had never been, and their women were born blind. The women had lived in this secret forest village for generations, completely blind from birth, hidden away where they felt safe and sacred. They farmed by scent, braided each other's hair by feel, and though they had no sight, they missed nothing. Their world was built on sound, touch, memory, and peace. They birthed daughters through rituals older than the moon. No science could explain how they conceived. And although they saw nothing, they missed nothing. Their world was touch, taste, memory, and peace. The outside world called them myths, but they called themselves whole. Everything was going well for them until one morning. That morning, Alika, Noah, and Farah were walking barefoot toward the root grain fields, baskets on their heads, giggling softly between breaths of wild ginger and sun-warmed moss. They were going to their farm to harvest their maize. Then the unexpected happened. A voice, rough, deep, unfamiliar, echoed through the trees. "Hello? Anyone there?" the voice said, and they froze. Noah gasped. "What was that?" she asked the other girls. Alika swallowed hard on nothing. "It sounded like a man," she said, and as if the man heard them, he walked up to them, his bare chest glistening in the sunlight. "Where is this place?" the man said. The three ladies didn't wait. Scared, as they had never seen a man before, they ran. Branches whipped their legs. Their baskets tumbled. Their blind hands found each other in the chaos. They ran until the gates of Lumina closed behind them and the whole village gathered, their breath held like water in the lungs. "There's something in the forest," Farah whispered. "Something with a voice like stone," she explained, panting profusely. With that, a search party of the bravest women was sent. They expected to find a beast, but instead, they found a man. Alone, barefoot, broad-chested and huge. His name was Emmanuel. He said he had been lost in the forest for days. That a storm had broken his caravan apart. That he had followed a trail of birdsong and that led him to them. They brought him to the outer lodge, fed him, let him rest. And Alika, she listened to him speak carefully. His voice poured over her like honey. It made something ache beneath her skin, a pull she'd never felt before. When she offered him warm water, he touched her fingers gently, and her knees weakened. What was this feeling? What is wrong with me? Why do I feel this way for this man? She said to herself, but it didn't end there. That night, she visited him in his small hut. They spoke, then touched. And in that moment they shared something unspoken. They made out in the hut, the candles flickering in the corner of the room. The next morning, Alika opened her eyes. And for the first time in her life she saw. She looked at her hands, her woven skirt, the blue shadow of dawn on the leaves. She was shocked. What could have changed? What did Emmanuel do to her? Then Emmanuel smiled, and she saw his face. She smiled back at him, excited that she could finally see. She rushed to her friend Noah and Farah and told them what just happened to her and what he did to her. But the two girls didn't believe her until she described the engravings on the sacred stone in the center of their village. And the girls were thrilled. "I want to see too," Noah said, but Farah wasn't convinced. "It sounds like a terrible and painful thing," she said. "I don't want to be part of it." She continued walking away. And just like that, the two girls went to visit Emmanuel in his hurt and they made out. When they were done, Noah could see. She was amazed and overly excited. Then went and told other women the good news. And suddenly, Emmanuel was no longer a visitor. He was a revelation. Women who longed for vision visited him in secret, shared his touch, his warmth, his voice. And they began to see, but no one understood how it happened. Emmanuel began to tire. "There are still many women that want to see," one of the women told him one afternoon. They urged Emmanuel to return to his city and bring more men, as only him couldn't satisfy the entire women in the village. He only nodded. "I will go to my village and get help," he said, and he did. Excited and fulfilled, he went, and soon he was back with 5 young able-bodied men. They were taller, louder, heavier. Where Emmanuel was calm, they were forceful. Where he listened, they commanded. Every day, the women of Lumina would dress up in their finest clothes and go to visit the men just so they could see. But Naya, the village herbalist, never went. "I am not broken," she said. "What I cannot see, I already know." The men called the women goddesses, gifts, treasure. The villagers were happy, but soon everything changed. They said a woman's role was to obey her man, and to do everything her man says. A woman must never speak when the men are speaking, and she must be submissive to the men. One of the men said. They laughed when the blind asked questions. "You still live in the dark," one sneered. They began choosing which women could live in the central huts, which had to farm, which were worthy of more. They made them do heavy jobs, and took away their farm lands from them. Despite all these, the women still wanted to see. They began competing to earn a man's affection, believing sight still waited for them in his arms. One by one, girls gave themselves to the men, hoping they would see. Many were left shamed, bruised, and silent. But soon enough, as if the gods were angry, the men could no longer make them see. The women would visit the men, and even after having an affair with them, they'll still remain blind. The men, knowing that they were losing their grounds, started saying all manner of things to maintain their positions. "For you to be able to see, you must submit more to us. Do as we say, and your sight will come." They continued to deceive them and began demanding food without helping, sleeping through harvest, yelling when meals were late, laughing at the women. Some men grabbed them roughly. Others whispered in their ears and took away their things. Some women cried and were told they were confused, that it was for their good, and in the center of the village, the women were fading. One night, as Nero passed the well, she overheard Emmanuel whispering to the other men. "They're perfect and dumb," he said. "No laws, no resistance, grateful for crumbs. We need to start extorting money from them and take it to our village." Another man laughed. "We'll start with 50. The next village will pay anything for obedient wives." Emmanuel laughed. "Then after taking them to our village, we will return for more." Alika's stomach twisted. She ran to Naya, trembling and weeping. As she got to Naya's hut, she saw Farah there. "It was never a miracle," she said. "It was a trap." That night, under the roots of the moon tree, they gathered. All the women of the Lumina village gathered together and decided to make the men pay for what they had done to them. They made a decision and moved silently through the trees back to their hut. The next morning they assembled them together and fed them dream leaf in their stew. And Naya brewed bitter smoke and peppered mist from her deepest jars. Some men shouted, some begged. Some choked on smoke and clawed at their fading vision. But the women didn't listen to them. "You see now," Naya whispered, "what your eyes have cost you." They fumed. They tied their hands and legs and blindfolded them. The women led them, lost and blind, into the forest edge, far beyond the memory of paths. Emmanuel was the last to go. Alika touched his face one final time. She kissed his forehead. "You gave me sight," she said, "but not the truth." Then she turned away with the other women. They struggled to rebuild their village again. Some could see, but others still could not. But now they all listened. Paths were cleared for farming. Songs were sung in circles again. The village no longer chased vision, but remembered what it meant to feel safe and happy. Years later, Naya died with roots growing through her garden and soft vines covering her door. Alika lived long but never loved again. One morning, she walked into the forest without shoes and never came back. Some say she had gone to stay with the men. Others claimed that she was eaten by large animals or that the trees took her. But still, the wind sings in Lumina. Eyes open mean nothing if the heart is closed.